Welcome to another episode of Bad Creepypasta. Today's creepypasta we will read is Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Special 666 edition. Without further ado, let's begin. I'm a very avid lover of retro video games. I love the Northeasts, and Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Is one of my favorite games for it. I have gotten so good at it that it no longer poses a challenge, and I beat Mike very easily. I've tried playing many other boxing games on the Northeasts, but none of them have given me the same pleasure as Mike Tyson did. One day, my friend Matthew and I were walking around our neighborhood, talking about how much we adore Mike Tyson, and how we wished he would punch us, like he does in the video game. "I sure do love Mike Tyson," said Matthew. "But I wish he would punch me in the face and break my nose," I replied. Suddenly, we come across a yard sale ran by an old man neither of us had ever met before. He looked very old. His skin was wrinkled and some of it seemed to be peeling off. Even one of his eyes seemed to be popping out of its socket. "This seems normal to me," said Matthew. "Yep, everything is normal," I said back. The old man then started to speak to us. "You boys seem like fine boys. Do you like video games?" "Yes sir, I do like them video games," I excitedly exclaimed. He went into his home and retrieved a box filled with what seemed to be NES games. Immediately my eyes went wide. I started rummaging through the games and came across some good ones. Super Mario, Zelda, Nintendo World Championships Gold cartridge, but nothing too special. Then my eyes saw a red cartridge. My first thought was that it had to be a bootleg or unlicensed game of some sort, since no NES game came in red casing. But then I read what was on the cartridge. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Special Edition Demo was written in red Sharpie on a piece of tape on the cartridge. "So, how much for this game?" I immediately said. "Oh, that one you can take that one for free," he replied. As soon as he said that, me and Matthew glanced at each other and grinned. "Thank you so much sir," I said. "It is entirely my pleasure," he replied, before letting out a hyper-realistic grin. Matthew and I rushed back to my house to play the game I had just received. We were very excited. Matthew decided to pour a nice warm glass of pee to get himself in the mood to play this epic game. "Mike Tyson, I got it from my girlfriend," he exclaimed. The only response I could think of was "Congrats bro." After this, I decided to pop a game into the NES. The game started up very strangely. Mike Tyson had hyper-realistic bloody eyes at the beginning of the game, with more realism than I thought the NES could produce. The hyper-realism was a bit creepy, but I just thought this was a feature of the special edition. The title screen popped up and it read Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Special 666 edition. "Does this seem a bit strange to you?" said Matthew. "No, not at all," I replied. I happily pressed start game, and then the console diabolically laughed. I shrugged this off as just another new feature. The game started, and I started fighting Glass Joe, one of the easiest opponents in the game. After punching him once, hyper-realistic blood splattered all over the boxing ring. Immediately I started puking enough puke to feed all of the poor people on the planet. Matthew regurgitated the pee from his mouth. I reluctantly continued to play the game. Every opponent died in the same hyper-realistic fashion. Mike Tyson in the ring. By the time we reached Mike Tyson, the room was filled with vomit and pee. We watched as Mike showed up. The boxing ring was filled with satanic symbols and Mike has hyper-realistic bloody eyes. He said this game is too weak to contain me. He disappeared from the screen. We were very happy that this ordeal was over. Suddenly, we heard a knock on the door. Matthew got up to answer. The door opened, and behind it was Mike Tyson himself, with hyper-realistic eyes and blood. He took his fist and punched Matthew right in the face. "FF, finally my dream has been fulfilled," were Matthew's final words. I managed to escape my house before Mike was able to take me down, but I did lose a part of my hair in the process. If anyone ever manages to find a Red Northeast's game, do not get it, or else Mike Tyson will hyper-realistically kill you. This creepypasta has to be a joke, because it's god awful anyways. I hope you enjoy, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.